Hey everyone. Seems like all of our hard work and diligence is paying off. The tides are finally turning. It took a while, way too long in my estimation, but alas, the day has finally arrived. Headline on the Toronto Sun: Majority of Canadians want COVID restrictions lifted. Poll scored by Brian Lilly, January 31st, 2022. Once again, let me just preface this by saying it's not as though I trust polls, but a lot of Canadians do, and politicians seem to get their marching orders or change their policy positions to reflect what the majority wants. And in this case, that majority saying, we've had enough. End all the mandates, end all the lockdowns, end all the restrictions, and let's get back to living life. A majority of Canadians now say it is time to end COVID restrictions, according to an Angus Reid poll. A sharp increase from when the same question was asked in early January. The latest poll, taken January 27th, 28th, found 54% want restrictions to be lifted compared to just 39% who wanted restrictions lifted when the same question was asked 2 weeks earlier. My oh my, how things can change in such a short time. That's the power of the people. That's the power of our voice. That's the power of truth. The poll asked people if they agreed or disagreed with the statement, it's time to end restrictions and let people self-isolate if they're at risk. A majority, 54%, now say it is time to remove restrictions and let Canadians manage their own level of risk. An increase of 15 percentage points since this question was asked in early January, the Angus Reid Institute said. A majority backed lifting restrictions in every province and region in Canada, with rural dwellers being more likely than urban dwellers to want restrictions lifted. 58% to 54%. Support for lifting is also the majority viewpoint for both men and women and across all but one age group. Anybody want to take a quick guess as to what that age group might be? Women over the age of 54 are the only age gender group that disagrees that restrictions should be ended. A majority of each of the other gender and generation groupings agree that the time has come, the Institute said. So I actually initially figured it was just old people, right? Like that are scared, right? Which would kind of make sense. But in this example, it's actually not even old people, it's older women. Now, personally, I don't like breaking us down into these categories, right? It'd be nice just to point out the individuals, but hey, that's not what polls do or how they represent the population. So let's just continue on. Support for lifting restrictions is highest among men aged 35 to 54 at 67%, followed by men 18 to 34 at 60%, and women aged 35 to 54 at 58%. Among women aged 55 and over, 51% disagree with lifting restrictions, while 40% agreed. Well, this is interesting. So the highest support is among men in my age range or category. Gen Xers. I would have figured the younger guys, the young men, because when I was growing up, it was typically the younger guys that represented the ones who were more risk takers, right? More rebellious and unwilling to conform to authority. My, how things have changed. Although I highly suspect that a lot of those millennials, that 60%, is going to continue to grow as more and more of them come to realize how much this kind of stuff is going to affect their lives going forward. All in due time, folks, all in due time. Just over 1 in 5 say that they or someone in their household have been infected with COVID-19 since December 1st, with most describing symptoms as minor. Asked to rate their symptoms, 52% of those who tested positive say they were relatively mild, just minor symptoms. 47% said their symptoms were serious but manageable, like a case of the flu, while 1% reported their symptoms as very severe, requiring hospitalizations. Ooh, a whole 1%. The poll was conducted among a representative randomized sample of 1,688 Canadian adults who are members of Angus Reid Forum, an online panel. For comparison purposes only, a probability sample of this size would carry a margin of error of plus or minus 2.5 percentage points 19 times out of 20. I find that 47% number said their symptoms were serious but manageable, like a case of the flu. Seems a bit weird too that I don't remember at any point in time in history growing up or over the course of my 51 years of living, and I've had the flu before, right? A few times. But I don't remember me or anyone around me ever considering the flu like to be a serious illness. But once again, mindsets are definitely different. Perceptions have been molded to the point these days where a lot of our younger people are fearful of things that the rest of us, or at least I should say, many of us, never were. Anyway, folks, at the very least, this is great news that the tide is definitely turning and attitudes are shifting. Turns out Canadians may very well have a breaking point after all. I sure hope so. It's a Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.